Hey everyone, Miss Vargas here. Today we'll read from a poem called Rain in Summer. First you'll read to understand what the poem is about. Then you'll read to analyze the figurative language. Today our poem is called From Rain in Summer, and the from tells us that this poem is taken from a larger work of poems. The author is Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, a very famous poet. And I want you to think about the kind of rain we have here where we live in the summer. And it makes me think of rain that is severe rain. We get thunder and lightning. We get crazy rain during the summertime. So my prediction is maybe this poem is going to be discussing how rain is very strong in the summer. So the next thing I want you to do is pause the screen and I want you to read this poem. And then we're going to come back together and talk about it. Welcome back. You've read through the poem one time. This is where we're going to go through the second time. And we're going to take a look at the figurative language used and how figurative language helps you understand what the author is trying to tell you. First, I want to talk about, first of all, where is the rain falling? It is falling in the streets of a town or city. Good. Number 2, how is the rain falling? If you said heavily or it's pouring, you're right. And 3, who is watching the rain? A man sick with a fever. Great job. So here we go. I've got some words picked out here. We're going to take a look at context clues. We're also going to take a look at a couple different figurative languages. So here we go for our second read. How beautiful is the rain after the dust and heat in the broad and fiery street. In the narrow lane, how beautiful is the rain. How it clatters along the roofs like the tramp of hoofs. How it gushes and struggles out from the throat of an overflowing spout. Across the window pane it pours and pours, and swift and wide with a muddy tide. Like a river down the gutter roars, the rain, the welcome rain. The sick man from his chamber looks at the twisted brooks. He can feel the cool breath of each little pool. His fevered brain grows calm again, and he breathes a blessing on the rain. So, we've got a couple different figurative languages. Our close reader habit was to underline any figurative language the poet uses to describe the rain. So I went ahead and did that for us. So here we go. We've got like the tramp of hooves. So we know that it's using like. It's got to be a simile. How it gushes and struggles out from the throat of the overflowing spout. I love that word, gushes. What does gushes describe? Good, the movement of the water. And what nearby words help you figure out the meaning of the word gushes? I agree. The word struggles, overflowing, pours, and pours. So I can determine that gushes means to flow with force. Gushes is also onomatopoeia. If we take a look at, let me talk about the metaphor first. Their metaphor struggles out from the throat of an overflowing spout. This metaphor compares water to maybe something trying to escape out of somebody else's throat, like a creature or something. And we have like a river down the gutter roars, the rain, the welcome rain. There we've got like for our simile. And we have personification down here. And what makes it personification? Well, when things are given human qualities. So he's describing like a river down the gutter roars, the rain, the welcome rain. So, our next task is going to be, what figurative language does the poet use to describe the rain? So, let's go ahead and pick out 3 types of figurative language. I decided on that: simile, metaphor, personification. So I'm going to go back to the text and I'm going to list each of the examples of what I read here. I'm not going to do this one. I'm just going to do 3 examples. So I'm going to use how it gushes and struggles out from the throat of the overflowing spout. And then I'm going to use the personification down here. He can feel the cool breath of each little pool. And you can see that I filled that in on my 3-column chart under what I read. In the middle of that chart, on the 2nd column, we've got simile, metaphor, and personification. So I had to describe how my example of what I read fits in to that figurative language. So we've got a simile, compares the sound of the rain to hoofs. A metaphor compares the water to a creature escaping another creature's throat. We've got personification. The pools of rainwater breathe. They're given that human quality. And now my task is to figure out what I have read, figure out the type of figurative language being used, and what it means. What is the author trying to tell me by using this type of figurative language? For example, the rain is very loud when it falls on the roof. So we have how it gushes and struggles out from the throat of the overflowing spout. The rainwater is moving powerfully through the spout. And our last example, he can feel the cool breath of each little pool. Personification, right? It means the rainwater settles in small, cool, calm pools. That's what the author is trying to tell us about summer rain. So what we need to do is take this graphic organizer and put it into a short response. You know we love our short responses, and I usually always go over on my lines, and I did again. So let's take a look at our prompt. A prompt says, explain how the figurative language shows the change in rain over time. We have to use examples to support our response. So let's go back into our prompt. We have to explain what? We have to explain how the figurative language shows what? Shows the change in rain over time. So thinking of that summer thunderstorm, how it starts out severe and heavy rain pouring, but after a while, when the lightning and the thunder eases up and the rain starts to go lightly and begins to stop, it changes. So we wanted to use figurative language. We wanted to use the metaphor, simile, personification in our response, and we want to turn that question around. So here I said the poet uses figurative language to show. You can see I've got matching language to my prompt and my response. Shows us that the rain first moves powerfully, but then slows and stops. So how does the poet do it? Let's break it down. First, he says the sound of the falling rain is like the tramp of hooves on the roof. This simile tells us that how hard the falling rain strikes the roofs. He then says that the rainwater struggles out from the throat of an overflowing spout. This metaphor compares the water's movement to one animal fighting to escape the throat of another animal, shows the water's energy. But by the last stanza, the rainwater has stopped moving. It is in the little pools, each producing a gentle, calming breath, as an example of personification. So we have answered the question, explain how figurative language shows how the change in rain over time, or how we can use figurative language to understand what the author is trying to tell us. I hope that you understand a little bit more about figurative language and how authors use it in their writing. Let me know if you have any questions.